in his.
The
Recording.
Okay, I have the privilege of introducing you to today's speaker. She and I have been working together for the past several months. We are redoing the steps. She is extremely thorough and she is like, she just amazes me all the time. And the reason is because when we get to something that is uncomfortable, and, and I say, well, this is going to be, a little uncomfortable, or this might be, or whatever, she responds with, well, I have to if I want to grow. And that includes what she's doing today. So let me give you Debbie Kay.
Yeah, that was good. I don't think I'm that person, but okay. My name is Debbie and I'm alcoholic, and my sobriety date is December 14th, 2018. And public speaking is like facing a grizzly bear in person. I want to run, but I'll be dead if I do. So I got to get through this because I have to help. My purpose is to help another alcoholic. I've been asked to do this 4 times and I keep saying no, and I have to do this. So bear with me. I have notes in case I go blank. Because I know my story, but when I get nervous, I just freeze up. So anyway, I'm going to start. I grew up in the Bay Area, 25 miles south of San Francisco, in a town, San Mateo. Mom and dad, John and Dorothy, and my 3, I'm the youngest, I'm a twin, 7 minutes younger than my twin sister, Diana. I have a sister that was 2 years old. That's 2 years older, Linda, and a brother, John. So we grew up in this house. My dad was an electrician, and my mom did retail, worked part-time. And we had a nice house, was a nice neighborhood when you could afford to live there in the 60s before everything went up. Like a typical day at this Buckman household would be, we would watch like the Brady Bunch, Partridge Family. We'd go out and play all day. We'd play kick the can, Barbies, color. We had friends. We lived in a cul-de-sac. We had friends that we'd go to. We'd say, "Can we play with you?" So that was a great childhood. I mean, it was really good. But I had a brother. He was abusive. He'd always hit us. I mean, every day he'd do something mean. And we would be in the family room. My mom would be cooking in the kitchen. Say, "Mom, Johnny's hurting us." Oh, she'd be la, 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 So I didn't get the emotional support from my mom. And my dad, he worked really hard. He was very strict, everything had to be perfect. If you wanted to go in the car, you had to wipe your feet off the thing to the car. And so we'd go on vacation and we could only eat Lifesavers because we couldn't make a mess. And we could only pee every 250 miles. So, but he was a loving dad. He had a sense of humor. Once in a while, he'd come out and be funny, but I was afraid of him because he was strict. So I learned young, the only way to get attention was, because if we clean the house, we got attention. Oh, great, you clean the house. So me and my twin would clean the house every week. We did the laundry, help cook. And my mom, we always had dinner at 6. We always had food. My dad would buy Sara Lee, all that good stuff. So ice cream, all that was my comfort. Like that was comfort food. So we always had food. We always had meals at the table. We weren't allowed to watch TV during dinner. And my mom would always talk about work. No one else talked, just my mom. It was all about her. So I learned also to be witty at the table. If I wanted attention, I had to be a smart ass. So that's how I could get attention. So and let's see. I had one friend that was 8 years old, Donna, and she died at 8 of leukemia. And then I had two other friends in the neighborhood, and they both moved away when I was 10 and 12. So that was hard I lost people. Let's see here. So my grandpa, he was an alcoholic. He would come over and he'd have a flask in his coat and he'd say that was his candy. And I thought that was kind of cute. Like, oh, okay. When I get older, I'm gonna have some candy, and I did. So, and I'd go to school and I was really shy. I mean, all through elementary, middle, high school. And I'm still trying to kind of gonna skip around, but my first taste of alcohol was, I think I was about 8. My parents would have bunco parties every month. They would rotate in the neighborhood and they would always have the leftover residue of drinks. So me and my sister would drink and think we're grown up. And so that was really only, my parents didn't drink, but my mom was, well, I shouldn't say that. She drank, but not like after when we go to bed. So I don't know if she's alcoholic. She's 91 now. But it was the alcoholic thinking, I guess, of my mom. And my dad, I don't know, he did the best he could. So when the next time I had alcohol I was at a party when I was 16 and I was really scared. I don't even remember having it. I just remember that I did because I was kind of forced to. So after that, at the first year in high school, I just stayed in the library. I just hid in there. I didn't, because my sister and I, even though we're twins, we couldn't be in the same classroom. So we were separated a lot. And there were things happened too with my brother. When I was 5, he broke my leg. It's kind of, he caused, I won't go into it. But anyway, so I just didn't feel like a good person. I just felt like a piece of shit. Even when I was younger, I just had this emptiness. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't tell anybody. Couldn't even tell my twin. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't do it. So I got in high school. And after my best friend, she moved away when I was in 10th grade. So then I didn't have anybody. So I started drinking. But it was hard to get alcohol because I had to go in front of gas stations and ask people to buy up for me. And so I did that and I did other drugs. That's part of my story, but not in just tried them. But so I drank quite a bit. When I was 18, I would also steal alcohol from my parents. They had above the stove, they had all the alcohol. So I would water it down after I drank it, put water in it. I don't know, I'm sure they found out. But, and then me and my sister would sneak out of the house, we'd sneak out our bedroom window, go party, and then we'd come back totally wasted, throw their bottles in their ivy so they wouldn't know. So, and I never got in trouble. Like they never did anything. Like I had two speeding tickets one night when I think I was 18. The same night I got a driving, it was a, what do you call it? I had alcohol in the car and the cop stopped me. So I lost my license for a month, but I got the paperwork in the mail and I threw it away so my parents wouldn't see it. So they didn't know that I lost my license, but my dad was just always working and then working at home. He didn't really know what I was going through. They didn't ask about college or high school. They didn't. And if I had a dream, he would say, oh, you don't want that. So, hey, I don't want that. So I don't know what I wanted. So I lost my license. And then in the meantime, I had a boyfriend who ended up getting married to when I was 20. So we ended up going to Korea for a year. He was in the Air Force. And I didn't drink. After that, I drank maybe twice in that year when I was in Korea because it was hard to get alcohol when you're 20. You don't know the language. I mean, I just didn't do it. And I didn't feel like an alcoholic, but I just felt lonely. I didn't know what it was. So we came back and I was working as a bakery manager and he's a mechanic working in San Francisco. And I just drank maybe every other weekend, had a few beers, and I thought everyone drinks like this. You just drink till you can't, like you don't just drink, you just drink. That's how it is. I'm not alcoholic. So I had my first son, I was 27, Jake, and he had heart problem. He was born early. And he was on a heart monitor for 2 years and 4 years on oxygen until he got a pacemaker. So I didn't even drink then. I was just a mom. And then I had two more kids in 91 and 93, all boys. So Jake, Jeremiah, and Elijah. And I just was working actually, I forgot to tell you this. We moved from California to Montana in 2000. And before that, in Placerville, I was working as a special ed driver for 9 years. I drive kids with special needs all around the county to school. So I would go drive like 200 miles a day, a split shift, picking up all in between different ages of kids. And I didn't really drink then either. I just was being a mom. I would help in school. I would volunteer. We had church at our house. We had church at the neighbors. We're in this tight, close community and out of the boonies in Placerville. So we moved here in 2000. My husband wanted to move here. I didn't really want to, but I was kind of excited. But like 2 years before that, we had a foster son, Logan, and he had a lot of problems. He would bang his head on the wall. He would run away. When I drove for special ed, he actually got out of the van. When I stopped at a stop sign, ran out of the car. So we just had him for a short time. But I started drinking after work it was about 99. I started drinking every day after work. I just have a glass of wine to relax. And so that continued when we moved here. I was working in a bakery. I had to get up at 3 a.m. and my kids are all young and I had to get to sleep. How am I going to get to sleep? My kids are still up at 7. So I just drink a glass of wine, slowly progressed. And my marriage wasn't good. My husband was abusive. I ended up in the ER one time. Mostly mental abuse, which can be just as bad. So I didn't feel like and I had parts of it. I was mean. I was critical. I was judging. He tried to help me with things and it was never good enough for me. So he stopped helping me. I just did everything myself, the shopping, the lawns, cooking, cleaning. So we just kind of, at that point, we would go camping together and we would both drink. Me and my husband, we'd both buy beer. And by 2012, that's when I really was drinking a lot. We'd go to camp for like 2 days and we'd buy 230 packs of beer. So it's like, and I couldn't get a buzz. I'd drink 10 beers and I would still felt fine. Like, we'd camp and then we'd come home. And I wasn't working. I was going to because my husband had PTSD. So we were going to a counselor, but he didn't like what I said. So he went on his own and I went on my own. But I never told her that I drank. So that's the whole point, right? Okay, so yeah, I was just drinking just more and more, and I just ended up just in this abusive relationship. And by then my kids were all out of the house in 2012. And I tried to leave my husband 8 times. I did leave him 8 times when I came back. I'd even get an apartment, take all my stuff out and move out for 4 days and would come back. And so the last time I left him was 2017. I slowly got his stuff out of the house that he wouldn't notice, got a storage unit and put everything that I would need. And then one day I told him, well, I'm going to move out. He goes, yeah, right. And in 2016 is when I started looking for like AA meetings. I would look up because I knew that I was an alcoholic by then. but I just didn't have the guts to go. So I ended up leaving him in 2017. I took my car and I was staying at my son's house. And my ex-husband, well, husband, we were separated. He took the car and they closed our bank account and he broke all my stuff in the house. He sawed my hutch in half that had all my little things on. He left all the stuff on a trailer for me to pick up, but I wasn't allowed in the house. So my mom helped me financially. And I finally, first time in 2017, I went to an AA meeting, a women's AA meeting. And all these women just like, they're just loving. They know what you've, even though they don't know what you've gone through, they know that language of the heart. So I got a list of numbers and this was in Hamilton. We lived in Hamilton. I got a list of names and I went to some meetings and then I got the fuck it's after like 22 days of like, I just emotional, something happened and I just like, I can't do this. So I went out for another year and everything got worse. I was living in an apartment. Well, I moved 4 times. And then in between that, I was living on people's couches, and I had 4 jobs. I would get a job, which was easy to do, but then I would work for like a month at Walmart or do caregiving for different agencies. And then I'd be hungover and I'd call in to say, I can't do this, my back's out, or I wouldn't call, just whatever. So I just finally, and then I was doing a caregiving job for one gentleman that after I got done taking care of him, I would party with him and drink. So, and then he ended up calling me a bitch and I got fired. So, but, so, and then I moved in the second last place I moved in, I had roommates. And the owner of the house loved to drink. He loved to drink with me. And I couldn't wait till to drink. Just, and as soon as I put that drink in my mouth, I just felt like I can just go away. And I ended up having a blackout there and I took everything out of the bathroom that my roommate had. I don't know why. I took all the towels and all the soaps and everything and put them somewhere else. And then the next day I accused her of stealing my stuff. So I was like, I couldn't remember. That was my first blackout. And I told myself in between all this, if I do this, if I drink this much, or if I drink that, or if I drink like what Sid was talking about, I'm going to quit. But I didn't. So I finally, I had lived in 4 places. And then I ended up moving to California for the last 2 months of my sobriety. And I just was, I don't know, I just felt so lonely. I didn't know what to do. So I stayed with my sister 2 months and then helped her and her husband. I would do yard work and my sister drinks too. She would drink with me. And then I had a scare that my back went out because I was so dehydrated. I had to go to the ER and the doctor said, well, you should probably quit drinking. And I quit for 10 days. I was so scared. And then I ended up coming back to Montana and that November, my divorce was final over a year later. And I bought a little trailer. And I thought, and just there one night, December 14th, and I had this bottle of whiskey and I just poured it down the drain. And I said to myself, God, I can't do this anymore. I can't, I got to get sober. So I didn't know I had still had this sponsor. Oh, well, no, wait a minute. I skipped over. I went back to AA. I don't know if I said that. I went back to AA the second time into the same women's meeting. And it was like the same people. They're all there. And I got another sponsor. And this was in Hamilton. And I was about 30 days sober. I was so squirrely. I was in my trailer and my thing would be to I'd either drive around and scream, like just get it all out. And I joined a gym, I'd go exercise, or I would do jigsaw puzzles. And I just was like doing like one puzzle a day, 300 pieces a day, because I was just trying to keep my hands busy. Like we were told, keep your hands there. So I called my sponsor. I had this huge craving, and she said, well, I don't even know what she said. She just was there. I talked to her for like half hour, and she walked me through it, walked me through this craving. And I hung up and I was like, wow, I can do this. Like, I don't know how, but I'm going to still do this. So I just kept going to meetings. And then I ended up meeting this guy, Kyle, that was before we both got sober. So I didn't want to, this other stuff's too much to tell. It's too complicated. Anyway, we both met before we got sober. So that thing about that rule thing doesn't apply to me. So anyway, well, I met him and then he ended up going, and I was getting sober at the time. And then I found out you're supposed to go on a date and he didn't call me. Well, he was in rehab in Georgia. Said, oh, I go, you're alcoholic, so am I. So, okay. So in the meantime, I was doing a new caregiving job, going to meetings, whatever I could in Hamilton. It's a small town, so 2 meetings were good. Or I'd go to Corvallis. I could go to 3 meetings a day and still work part-time. And I just was starting to work the steps. And then it was about 6 months I was sober, and don't ever do this, but I moved in with Kyle, another alcoholic, 6 months. And we both went to the program up here. We both go together or go separate. We'd both go work the program. And I got a sponsor right away when I moved to Missoula. And we went through the steps, and I picked her one day. She was at the Sunrise meeting, and she was just so lovely. She's just so like talkative, but because I'm not that way. She was outgoing and sweet. And so she was my sponsor for over 4 years. And I needed that. I needed that gentleness in life. And I would call her like twice a day, 3 times a day, any time of the day. She was always available. I mean, not always. Sponsors sometimes have to work. They have to live. They have their life. But she was there. She wasn't working at the time. So we did this. We were working on the steps. And I just looked back at all my notes and stuff, all my work from my first sponsor. And I noticed my big thing is judgment and self-seeking, because I want people to like me. So I'm a people pleaser. But I was sober, but I was still practicing all these defects, which I just realized I'm still doing that now. But the sponsor, she did a great job. And God, this is what I have to say, God in my understanding, because when I was growing up, we'd go to church and we would always get little stickers or candy if we got the verse right. And I just didn't feel connected. I felt lonely then too. So when I learned, God of your understanding, I can, something in there. I don't know what it is, but to me, it's like people in the room. It's like a spiritual, like a gut feeling that someone's there for you, even if you're alone, which I never had before. So, I forgot what I was going to say. Hold on just a second to get some water. And me and my sponsor got really close, but it was to where we were best friends. I was cleaning her house and it was wearing too many hats for both of us. So I decided to get another sponsor. And this year, not last October, Robin. And when we started the steps again. And Robin, I just love, because I don't know how to say it. Like a toughness, but a gentleness at the same time. Like she knows like what I've been through, even if I don't tell her, she just knows what I need and always tells me, ask God for help. which is hard for me. I don't want to ask God for help. I want to do it on my own. I want to control everything. That's how I am, because I had no control as a child. So she's teaching me to walk through this fear like this. Like I would rather be in pajamas walking in public or something, or like I said, a grizzly bear, because this is tough. Like I would, in high school, I wouldn't go to class. I would quit or skip class, quit typing. I didn't go to typing because I wasn't good enough. You know, she would critique me, and then I would just not go. Or we had small groups of kids in social science or whatever it was, lab biology, and I would quit. I would just not go to class. I passed high school and D- this. And I didn't go to college either because on the night before the SATs, I was hungover. So I didn't go to that, to skip back to that. So anyway, so Robin was teaching me to she's teaching me to walk through my fear. And I see like right now, my character defects are still this judgment. It's because I realized I'm not loving myself. How can I love other people if I don't forgive myself? How can I love people when I hate myself? And she's teaching me to love myself and be out there for people. Cause this is gonna, if I don't do this, I'm gonna die. And I've seen few women this last year that have died. They were gonna come back, but they never made it back. And it's scary. It's a scary disease. So, right now I'm just, I'm just really happy to be in AA. It's been almost 6 years, and I'm in this great relationship with this person that treats me wonderful, doesn't hit me, doesn't yell at me, doesn't swear at me. All my kids are in the Bitterroot. And my grandkids, I get to see them all the time. And I get to see all these beautiful women that are here today to support me. So, and we're with Robin, we're on step 6, and I'm trying to curb my character defects. The biggest one is the self-seeking, because I always thought that to be loved, you have to do stuff for people. It's not who you are. And she's teaching me that it doesn't matter. I can be myself. So I'm trying to be honest with people. I used to get mad and just explode. And I've done that recently to people, but I'm learning to speak up for myself, not be a doormat, and speak of what I need. And it's not selfish to do that. And I always thought it was. So the self-seeking will go away once I really ask God to help me with that. And I'm not sure what else to say. I forgot. But basically, I know my story is going to be short, but and another big thing is service here. When I first got sober, I had to do clean coffee cups, get out the Oreos, and open the church door, and even up here, I was had to buy the supplies and do Bridging the Gap, and I'm doing the liaison for Sunrise, but that helps keep me sober. So, and then God helps me stay sober, and my sponsor and everyone in this room. So that's all I have. Thank you.